Hello, everyone, and welcome to Social with the Side of Justice, a multi-episode series where we talk about various topics centered around the importance of social justice. Today's episode will be hosted by me, Wiza Diaz.
Me, Sammy Ramirez.
And me, Galo Sanchez. Today we have a very special episode for you guys.
On today's episode, we will be joined by a guest who is known for his hard work, passion, and determination.
Over the past couple of weeks, like every other episode, we have conducted extensive research on today's guest. We are amazed and inspired by his journey, and we hope you are too.
His life should seriously be a movie.
On today's episode, we have the honor of being joined by Philadelphia Eagles long snapper and 2018 Super Bowl champion, Rick Lovato.
Rick Lovato was signed by the Chicago Bears as an undrafted free agent in 2015. He also played for the Green Bay Packers and Washington Redskins before signing with the Philadelphia Eagles, where he went to 2 Super Bowls.
We are so excited for you to join us today. We hope that you enjoy the show.
Mr. Lovato, first of all, we just want to start off by saying thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, thank you so much for having me, guys.
We just want to start off by asking, did you always want to be a football player?
Yeah, I'd say from a young age, my parents always put a ball in my hand. I always loved playing baseball. I loved playing football. Anything with a ball, I was a big fan of. Team sports, of course. But, I guess from a very young age, I was inspired to watch football and watch baseball and all those professional athletes and see them on TV. I'm like, I kind of want to be one of those guys, but it took one step at a time.
Yeah.
So.
It's a process. Were you an Eagles fan growing up?
We were not Eagles fans growing up. We were Giants fans growing
Hey, what happened?
But actually, I played flag football, so I was always a fan of whatever team I was playing for in that flag football league. And then once my sister went to college, she actually went to the same school as one of my favorite quarterbacks, Ben Roethlisberger, who played for the Steelers. So I became kind of a Steelers fan in middle school and high school, and that was a good time for the Giants and the Steelers because they were both winning Super Bowls during that time when I was in middle school and high school. But I was more of a players fan. I was never set on one team, and actually helped me a lot going to the NFL because I was never biased for being a part of one team or not.
When do you think you became serious about wanting to be a professional football player?
I think wanting to be a pro football player came when I was around in college. I know I wanted to keep going to the next level from every step I played, whether it was middle school going to high school and then high school to college. But it wasn't until college that I saw that, I think I had the talent to go do it. I had, a really bad junior year pro day. So it was not like an actual pro day getting ready for the NFL. But it was like just a prep pro day to find out if you were good enough, and I was terrible. I didn't run well. I didn't do anything well during that junior year pro day, and it kind of turned a light bulb on my head. I'm like, wow, I need to work hard right now, or I'm never going to fulfill my dream of becoming a professional football player. So that's when I turned everything around. I changed my diet. I worked harder in the classroom, worked harder on the field. And thankfully, going towards my senior year, it helped me become a pro football player.
And why this sport?
Why football?
Yeah.
I love football just because, the intensity of it. Once I was out there and I was tackling people when I first was out there, putting shoulder pads on, I really loved it. I also loved baseball. I loved pitching. I loved, hitting. And I also wrestled in high school and middle school too. So wrestling and football was kind of, that contact physical sport that made me, have a passion for wanting to not go hit people on the field, but, be physical out there and take out some aggression and, have fun while doing it.
Yeah.
So how would you describe yourself as a player during high school at Middletown South?
I was a two-sided player, so I played on offense and defense, and it wasn't until my junior year of high school that I started realizing that I could be a good long snapper. I did it my freshman year and sophomore year, but I never knew that long snapping could get me to college or to anything else. And then thanks to my mother and Mr. Bellina, who used to work with her as a phys ed teacher at Long Branch, his son-in-law played a long snapper for the Bengals, and he also went to Rutgers University. So we actually ended up going to these camps and I was a junior in high school, just realizing, oh wow, I can go to college just to long snap. I didn't realize that such a specialized position could take me so far in life. And, again, one step at a time, I was just going to these camps and realizing I could get recruited just to go to college.
That's awesome.
So right here we have Miss 5 goals. A couple of days ago we had a game versus Middletown North, and she made 5 lacrosse goals.
There we go.
Very proud.
That's what I'm
see?
talking about. Yeah.
Thank you.
Love that.
So, after high school, you went to play football at Old Dominion University. Is that correct?
Yes.
Why did you choose to go to school at Old Dominion?
I was on the process of, going to different colleges my junior year. Once I found out that long snapping was the way to get me to college, I went to a Rutgers camp. I went to a Towson camp. I went to a couple different camps and started hearing from schools, from letters and stuff like that coming along into my senior year. But Old Dominion, when I got to my senior year, they're the ones who recruited me the hardest. My uncles, two of my uncles on my dad's side went there, and I had no idea until I started getting recruited by Old Dominion. But they actually, they helped me, describe Old Dominion as, a great school, a great place to be. It wasn't too far from home, in Virginia. And again, going back to Old Dominion, they recruited me harder than anyone else. They wanted me the most, and that's what I wanted to feel. As a 18-year-old kid, you want to feel wanted. It's so tough going into college, and you're only 18. You have no idea what you want to do with your life. I wanted to play football, and I wanted someone to really want me to come play football, and Old Dominion showed me that.
Aw, that's so sweet. That's awesome.
Nice inspiration.
As a player, what did you learn from your time there?
At Old Dominion, I realized how much each step of life is just figuring out your time management and really becoming a good student and an athlete. Hence why would they call us student athletes in college and in high school too. But being a student athlete, that was the biggest thing I had to realize was waking up in the morning to go to class and then go to a workout and then go to class again and then have practice later. Those different steps really made me feel like I needed to be the best student athlete and manage my time the best. Because if you're not, then you kind of fall apart. You get out of the rhythm of things if you let, parties and friends get in the way of what your true focus on is, school, getting a degree, and, wanting to be the best football player you could be. Those distractions will get to you, but you have to block those out and truly become the best student athlete that you can be.
It's like they always say, you're always a student before an athlete.
That's right. That's right.
School comes first.
That's right.
So what happened from the time that you graduated until you signed with the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, so I actually sat down with my head coach after my final senior year season, and I told him, hey, I wanted to be a long snapper in the NFL. I wanted to do all these things playing in the NFL. And he sat down and told me, hey, you're not really being looked at. So I would prefer for you to just stay here and finish up school, and then you can kind of see where it goes from there. Because for me, at that point, I was going to a ton of camps, and I realized I was one of the better long snappers coming out that year in the draft. But obviously, my head coach didn't see it, so it really inspired me to, work harder on the field and in the weight room to get ready for the draft. And it also, he made the right decision for me. I needed to finish school. I didn't want to take a whole semester off, not graduate, and then not knowing where my NFL career would take me. I'd have to go back to school and finish. So that actually was great advice by him to stay in school and finish while I worked out hard and tried to fulfill my dream of becoming a NFL player. And from the time that happened, that meeting with him, I worked my butt off up until my pro day, which happens in April for most colleges. And, a ton of teams come to your school and watch you do your running and your bench press and your jumping. And then you do on-field work for me, long snapping. And it was at that time where I realized that, okay, I'm actually getting some attention from a couple teams, and I went to another camp, a long snapping only camp for NFL teams, and I realized, okay, I can actually do this. I've worked my butt off up until this point, and then in the 2015 draft, I was, waiting for a phone call. I knew I wasn't going to get drafted. There's 7 rounds, and I knew I wasn't going to get drafted in those 7 rounds. But I had some interest from the Miami Dolphins, but the Miami Dolphins kind of faded away pretty quickly on that last day. They told me, "Hey, we can't wait for you to become a Miami Dolphin." Never heard back from them, and then the Bears called, and my agent called me and said, "Hey, you're going to be a Chicago Bear." And from there on out, I knew I had to be the hardest working person ever because I wasn't drafted. So I had to go in there and prove myself and just take one day at a time being a Chicago Bear. So
That's awesome.
And how was your time with the Bears?
it was great. It was a huge learning curve from college to the NFL. Being a college long snapper is way different than being an NFL long snapper. You have way more responsibility of blocking and all these other tiny little techniques that you didn't learn in college from the time I was there for 4 years. So I had to work my hardest that I possibly could because I was also competing against a older long snapper. He was probably 8 to 9 years in the league by then. And that's the thing with the NFL. You have to constantly compete. And if you're not in the mindset that you're constantly competing, even if you're the only one there, like myself, being a long snapper, you're usually the only person there because they only hold one long snapper, one punter, one kicker. You have to always be prepared for someone else coming in and wanting to take your job. And at that time, I was competing against an older guy who had experience. So I knew that if I was going to beat this guy out, I had to work even harder than him.
Yep.
But even then, I fell short. So that's the NFL. It will break you down until you fall down, you get back up, and I just kept doing that over and over and over again until I could finally call myself an NFL player.
Yeah, it's not even not only in the NFL, but also in high school. Your position isn't always guaranteed. That's always going to be your position. Anyone can work hard and get the position that you're playing in.
That's
and
right.
that just helps you work harder. Yeah.
There's always everyone in the entire world is competing for your job, whether you know it or not. And that's every level, high school, college, pros. Someone always wants to come after you and take your job, whether you're in the classroom or you're on the field. It doesn't matter. Someone is always out there trying to work harder than you to become, the best version of themselves.
Yeah. So how did you handle being released from the Bears?
That was tough. So my first time getting cut from the NFL, I thought everything was over. I thought my whole career was over because I knew I only got a few opportunities in some preseason games that year because the preseason's where you kind of showcase what you can do on the field during an actual game. That doesn't count. But once I got cut by the Bears during that, August, whatever the date was, late August, I kind of felt like, oh no, I'm out of a job. I don't know what to do. I just felt completely lost. I had no idea what I was going to do. The next step, my agent was, trying to help me get workouts and stuff like that, because that's the best thing is to keep in contact with NFL teams so they know that you're there. Because if they lose touch with you or you lose touch with your agent's not going to help you out and try to get more opportunities for you. So what I had to do was just kind of lock back into focus, pretend that I was still in training camp with the Bears. I had to, you get knocked down, you get back up, you have to go, keep working out, be prepared for any opportunity because, again, there's only one long snapper per team in the NFL. And one is if something happens to that long snapper, someone else needs to come back in and get signed. So that was my goal I'm going to keep working just as hard as I was, and I'm going to wait for my agent to help me find an opportunity, whether it was a workout just to go, showcase my skills for a team, or, try to get an opportunity to play. So I just waited and waited and waited, and that's when, the Green Bay Packers called in, late December. So more about that later, I'll tell you.
So you mentioned agent. How do you get an agent?
So the agents actually come to you. When I was in my senior year of college, I had two guys contact me because they kind of know who's the best of the best in your position around around college, and you'll have different people calling you. And there's hundreds of agents, so a lot of people are trying to represent the best guy, the best of the best guys. And for me, long snapping is a very niche position, so I only had two guys call me who were very familiar with the long snapping position. One of them being who I signed with. His name is Rob Roche, and he's based in Chatham, New Jersey. And he's the one who called me, and again, just like Old Dominion, showed me the most interest. He told me, hey, you're going to be the only long snapper I represent this year, and that's what you want. You want someone who's going to fight for you, because in the NFL, if you have an agent who represents multiple of the same position, they can go, hey, I have this guy, or I have this guy. You want that one guy to really look after you. So he called me, and I met with him, during that draft process when I was getting ready for the draft. I signed with him. I was like, all right, this is great. He's the one who handles all of my contracts. He's the one who calls teams to get me into workouts just to showcase myself and do all that. So he was phenomenal from the day I signed with him up until today. I'm still with the same agent, so he's been incredible.
That's great.
And so they're a big part of helping your career grow, because they're the ones that's going to help you get signed. So,
So so how many long snappers are there in the NFL?
there's 32 long snappers, but like I said, when I was with the Bears and I got cut, I was technically like a 33rd long snapper. So once there's only set 32 long snappers, there's always guys waiting in the wings like myself who want to get signed. Because if one guy gets hurt, someone needs to come in. They have to sign. They have to sign someone, and injuries happen all the time in the NFL, which is why guys only last for a few. The average NFL player only plays 3 years, and that's because of injuries and all that other stuff. But so I was just waiting on the wings, getting myself ready for a game-like scenario. But I kind of knew I had a lot to improve on. I was still a rookie. It was a huge change from college to the pros. So I was just waiting in the wings as that 33rd long snapper, and waited for my opportunity to come until December of that year. I had a workout with Green Bay Packers, and they just brought me in just for a workout, just to see, hey, could this guy come in next year and maybe win the job against this veteran? Because the long snapper had been doing great all year, and it was 2 days after I had that workout, the long snapper in a game on Sunday. So I worked out on Friday, game on Sunday, he tore his ACL. And I had just been sitting there. I had no idea it happened. I get a call on Monday morning and saying, hey, our long snapper just got hurt. We're going to be flying you out in the next 2 hours. And I'm just woke up like an hour before that. I'm like, wait, what?
Wow.
Yeah, just an incredible whirlwind of an experience. But that it was just such a crazy story on how that happened. Because obviously you don't want anyone to get hurt, but if it helps you get a job and helps you showcase what you can do,
take it.
you got to take it.
You gotta do what
take
you
gotta do.
advantage of your
It's an
opportunity.
opportunities.
That's it.
I mean, I would too.
Opportunity came.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy.
You gotta
Crazy
do what you
story.
gotta do.
That's right.
During this time, you worked at your parents' sandwich shop. Is that correct?
Yes. During that time when I was a free agent, from the time I got cut from the Bears, I was working in my parents' deli. Yep.
Oh, so if you worked there, what was your favorite to-go sandwich order?
Well, I love making a pork roll, egg, and cheese, and then
delicious.
my favorite sub was just a very simple, turkey sub, or I love making Philly cheesesteaks. Anything on the grill.
Oh my god, cheesesteaks are so good.
Love making anything on the grill.
Wow.
So, I was just working at a deli that my father and my uncle owned, and I was just working out in between. I was like, that was kind of my side gig to what I really wanted to do. And at the time, we were such a small store, so everyone in there kind of knows me for, making it to the Bears. Like, hey, when you're getting your next opportunity? I'm like, I don't know. I'm just waiting and waiting and waiting. And it felt like forever, but, that whole season went by, and And then late December, at the end of that season, that's when I got signed by the Green Bay Packers, and everyone was just so ecstatic at the store. Obviously, I had to take off of work that week because I had to go play in the NFL. Crazy.
It had to be a tough time waiting for a call. How did you mentally handle it?
Yeah, that was really hard. Being patient as an NFL player, waiting in the wings, it's tough. You don't know if you're ever going to get that call. I was hounding my agent to say, hey, every other week I was like, hey, do you have any opportunities for me? Does any teams want to work out? And obviously he reaches out, but there's only so much he can do because the team needs to show interest. So for me, it was playing such mind tricks on me because I didn't know what was going to happen. Was I going to have to go look for a real job? I didn't want to work at the Deli forever, as much as I would have loved to do that. I was like, do I keep waiting? Do I keep working out? I don't know what to do, but it truly was my goal to make it to the NFL. So I was just as patient as possible, and I knew I had some money coming in from the Deli. So I'm like, I'm just going to stick this out, see how this season goes, and then we'll figure it out next year. Yeah. And that workout came up with the Packers, and that changed my whole life. So,
did you ever second guess pursuing this career or have doubts?
I for sure had doubts when I got cut multiple times by different teams. Even after I made it with the Bears and Green Bay, they cut me before the following season. That was really heartbreaking for me because I thought, wow, this was my chance. I went into Green Bay and I played the whole rest of the season for them in replacing that guy who got hurt. And then I played the whole offseason and training camp, just me there. And I thought, oh, this is it. This is my opportunity. I won this job. But I got cut, and that was really heartbreaking. I'm like, well, what am I doing wrong? Why am I keep getting cut? The guy that they that got hurt, they brought back in and replaced me, who was there. So, again, sitting in the wings as that 33rd long snapper the next season was really tough because I'm like, okay, well, I got the opportunity. I know teams see me, and I know teams are out there that, have interest in me. So I'm just going to keep waiting. And then another 10 weeks go by, and that's when I got signed by the then Washington Redskins, who are now the Commanders. And that was my next opportunity. I'm like, okay, these opportunities are coming in, so I got to stay focused on that because I can't let myself down. I can't let my family down. I just wanted to really pursue everything because all those doubts, all those things, all those negative thoughts everyone has, you can never let those take over you because then it will ruin your life. You have to always think positively, and no matter what you're doing, because, I was so blessed to be just in the position I was, whether I was playing in the NFL or not. I loved what I did, so I just wanted to put my head down and keep going.
And who helped keep you motivated and positive?
Well, that had to be, my mom and my dad, of course. I was still living at home at the time, working at the Deli, but my dad would always be ready to go catch some long snaps from me whenever I was, after I was done working, I would go work out, and then the next day my dad would catch long snaps for me, and my mom would be out there filming me and like to watch all my mechanics and stuff like that, just so I could see what I was doing. And yeah, it was a group effort for sure because without them I wouldn't have been able to get to where I am today.
And for our listeners, Miss Lovato used to teach here, and she's awesome.
She is. Like, amazing to have her here back.
Number one supporter, too.
That's right. It certainly is.
So how did you feel when you found out the Green Bay Packers were going to sign you?
Oh, I was crying. I was so emotional.
A lot of emotions.
The first person I called was my dad, and I just broke down. Like I couldn't believe it because the opportunity was just so great, and I wanted to just show everyone that what I did was worth it. So, every moment of feeling down on myself finally came, to a close because I got this opportunity to go play for the Green Bay Packers. No, it wasn't the New York Giants, who my whole family was fans of, but they were so happy for me. They realized, once I got to the NFL that this is a business. This is definitely a business side of things for sure. So once I got that opportunity, oh my gosh, everyone was just ecstatic. Everyone at the Deli was ecstatic. It was just so many emotions just flowing through me at once. But I had to lock back in because I could not let that emotion get, the best of me because I had to go and play.
Yeah.
I hadn't played a snap since the preseason, like 15, 16 weeks before that. So I had to go be ready to go play in an NFL game, my first regular season game in Arizona that next weekend. Got there on a Monday and played on the following Sunday. So it's tough, but I had to lock back in and be prepared for it.
Oh my God! So what was it like stepping onto the field for your very first professional game?
Oh man, that was really really special. But
Feelings?
once again, I had to, I was definitely nervous, of course. But Aaron Rodgers was my quarterback, so I was. He made me. He came up to me in the locker room before the game. He's like, "Hey man, this is what you do. You do this all the time." I'm like, "You're absolutely right." I'm like, "This is what I do." So I was so ecstatic that Aaron Rodgers, of all people, like one of my favorite quarterbacks, is coming up to me and telling me, "Hey, just relax and go do your thing." And unfortunately, that first game we got our butts kicked, but I got a lot of time on the field, and it was good to just get my first experience out there. I think Aaron Andrews gave me an interview before the game started, and it was crazy. Like all the cameras, all the fans, everything was just something that you didn't see at Old Dominion. We had 20,000 fans, which is a lot, but now you're in a stadium that the whole country's watching, and the 70,000 fans that are there.
Moment.
Such a surreal moment for sure. But I had to, again, lock in. Okay, be who I am. I've long snapped a million times in my life. I need to just go and do my job. So that was it.
You ate that up, sir. You ate that up. So after this feeling and playing the games, what was the first thing you bought with your very first check?
Oh gosh! So the first time I got a check from the Bears, the first thing I treated myself to was Chili's. I don't know why. Yeah, it was just in walking distance from where my hotel was. So I'm like, I'm going to get some Chili's. But once I got a bit bigger of a paycheck from playing those games with Green Bay, I bought myself a Dodge Durango because I didn't have a car. I had a car that I grew up in high school and college that I drove and put over 100,000 miles on. I'm like, I need a car. So that was my first purchase, was a Dodge Durango.
That's awesome.
Being on the Philadelphia Eagles, would you say that your team is like a tight group?
Absolutely. The two times I've seen the group the closest is the first time we won the Super Bowl was that year, 2017 to 2018. And then again this year in 2022 and 2023, we really saw everyone got along. Every group always hung out, whether it was playing pool in our lounge or playing basketball out in our team meeting room. Our head coach put up a basketball hoop so everyone could shoot around and just have fun together. That's the whole. Everyone forgets about the fun part of playing football, and it's being with your teammates, because this sport doesn't last forever, but friendships do. So I've been able to, get along with so many guys on the team, and I've been fortunate enough to play. I think there was only 8 of us from the time we won the first Super Bowl to this second Super Bowl that we just recently lost. But there was only 8 of us left from that last time. But again, NFL changes every single year. There's new guys coming in. But we got along with all the young guys, all the older guys, all the free agents. Everyone who came in that year, knew we had something special. So we got along so well, and our head coach does a great job of bringing us all together for different events. And, we do different charity work for different schools and all that kind of stuff. And just doing that all together as a team really brings you together.
Would you consider them family?
Absolutely. They are definitely my family for life. All these guys that I played with, I still follow all the guys on Instagram who played with me from my rookie year to now. Those guys are always going to be in touch with me. And that's what I love about this sport, is it's always about the friendships that you make. I feel like that's way more special than the game of football. Even though I love football, it's definitely more about the friendships, and because that's going to last way longer than our careers do in the NFL.
It's like the music from the Spice Girls, like friendship never
Yes,
ends.
exactly right.
See?
That's exactly
See?
how it is.
Friendship never ends,
That
sir.
friendship never ends. That's so true.
Like throughout your whole team, like which teammate are you the closest to?
I'd have to say Jake Elliott because we've been together now for going on 7 years. He's our kicker, and we obviously spend the most time together because I'm a long snapper. He's a kicker. We're constantly together. I've obviously been very close with our punters that have come in as well. But Jake and I, obviously just we're together for the last 7 years. So we've built a very good relationship together. Not that I haven't built good relationships with other players, but we've just been together so long and we're such a tight unit because we're special teams. We're very niche positions, so we're spending a lot of time together while linebackers spend time with linebackers and O-line spends time with O-line. Not that I don't get along with those guys. It's just the people you spend time with most have become the best friends. So for sure.
Yeah, sorry about that. The bell fell school. We have to wait for another one, and then we can keep going. That's fine. We got this. I'm liking it so far, the interview.
Yeah.
How about you?
Oh, I love this. This is awesome, guys.
Amazing.
So in 2018, you and the Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Yes.
What was going through your mind as the clock was counting down and you realized that you were now a Super Bowl champion?
It brought me back to when I was first signed with Green Bay. Those emotions kicked in. I cried like a baby on that field because just to realize where I was just a year and a half ago with getting cut by multiple teams, with Green Bay, with the Redskins I played just a couple games with, and realizing I just went from thinking that I wasn't ever going to play in the NFL again to now winning a Super Bowl in my very first full year as an NFL player. That was my very first full season that year. And just to realize that and the emotion that just swarmed my body, I just couldn't believe where it brought me. And I'm just so grateful for that opportunity and to again experience it again, because I obviously thought, I'm like, oh, hey, we just won a Super Bowl. This is going to be easy to get back here. It is so hard. The amount of veteran guys who played for years and years and years, never even making it to the Super Bowl, and I've made it to 2 now. It's just, it really is, it makes you appreciate and be grateful for every opportunity in this league.
I can't even imagine. Like
Yeah,
that's crazy.
that
in
really
a
must
stadium
be
full
awesome.
of
Oh my
thousands
gosh,
of
it's just hundreds of millions of people are watching this game, and just to let all that sink in is just, oh man, it was incredible, and obviously spending partying with family and stuff like that right after was so cool.
Oh, so is that how you celebrated?
Yeah, so
That was my next question.
Yeah, no, it's so we had a post-game party. Both teams do. This year we had a post-game party. Obviously, it was a little bit more depressing than after a win.
It's okay.
But hey, you got to appreciate how far, like I said, how far you make it. It is so hard to get to the Super Bowl in this league. So both teams should celebrate. Win or loss, that this is a special team. This is we made it this far. But the year we won was just an incredible experience. I got to meet a lot of famous people. Cardi B sang for us while we were there. Meek Mill was there. Diplo, I got to go on stage with Diplo and talk to him. And then I met, I don't know if you guys know who M. Night Shyamalan is. He's a producer, director for a lot of movies in Philadelphia and big movies. And I just met, and Pink walked right by us. She's the one who sang the national anthem that year.
She walked by like it's nothing. Like,
all these people, I'm like, wow, this is, this is what it's like to feel like a celebrity, after winning something like that, But for me, I was just, like this normal kid who, happened to win a Super Bowl, but now I'm in, like, again, I got to meet all these amazing people, but again, they're people too. That's what you have to remember as as celebrities and all that kind of stuff. They're people too, and they have personalities and they have their own things going on in their life. And everyone has to realize that we're not just players on TV or players that just play in the NFL. We all have a backstory. We all have our own background from where we came from. So, yeah, it's just an incredible experience that I had after the Super Bowl, and then we had the parade a few days later, and that was crazy. We all got on buses and drove from our facility down Broad Street to the Rocky Steps. I don't know if you guys know the infamous Rocky Steps that he runs up and,
from the movie.
Waves his arms on top of the steps. That's where we had our.
Sorry.
That's okay. That's where we had our ceremony, and we got to speak in front of hundreds of thousands of fans, and what an experience! Like, that was just so cool. And then me and my wife went to Aruba to really celebrate. So, but yeah, it was such a amazing months and months after that. Everyone is, I celebrated with my friends when I got back home here. I'm like, I have to go see my friends, of course. So I brought them all together to celebrate as well. So you just want everyone to, realize, hey, you were a part of this too. It wasn't just me. You guys all helped me get to where I am. So I wanted everyone to celebrate and include them as well.
So who was your favorite person that you've met, like celebrity-wise?
My favorite person I met celebrity-wise, it's got to be, I guess you can call him a celebrity, but it's Aaron Rodgers was my favorite person I met. He's actually such a chill guy, really easy to talk to. And even after I was only there for about 5 months, years after that, when I signed with the Eagles and even when we were playing, he would always come up to me and be like, hey, man, good to see you. Like, he remembers me. I'm like, this is so cool that a guy like this remembers me. And then after I won the Super Bowl, I don't know if you guys know skateboarding, but Paul Rodriguez was my favorite skateboarder growing up, and I got to meet him through a mutual friend of my wife's, and we went to his house and hung out with him, and I got to skateboard with my favorite skateboarder of all time. That's what I used to do as a kid, as my hobby was skateboarding. So I got to hang out with the coolest people and really get to know these people that I looked up to my whole life. So it's really, really neat to be able to be in the position I am, but also stay humble too. Because again, we all have our backstory. You never want to feel like the lights are too bright. This is be you and know where you came from for sure.
Wow.
Is there a player that has either left the Eagles or retired after the 2018 Super Bowl that you guys missed in the locker room?
It'd have to be Nick Foles. Nick Foles was our quarterback that year who won the Super Bowl, and my wife got along with his wife very well. Oh. So it was so cool to have him, come back to Philly years after. We would always go see him. He was such an amazing, he still is, amazing guy as a teammate, always so genuine. He was, really, really passionate about his teammates and all that kind of stuff. So having him gone stinks, but he's hopefully coming back this year to either retire or call it quits on his career. I know he's coming to that point in his life where he wants to focus on his family. He has 3 kids now, and he's definitely someone we miss a lot in that locker room.
And what kind of impact did that player have?
Not only just winning us a Super Bowl, but his passion for being even after the year after. He went in as a backup. He just won a Super Bowl, and he was the backup going into the following year because Carson Wentz, who our quarterback was all throughout that year until he got hurt, was he was going to be the franchise quarterback. So he had to again be the backup, and he was so humble about just being there for his team. It didn't matter what happened the year before. He ended up playing a lot that year, actually, and we almost got back to the Super Bowl. We lost on a very, very close game against the Saints in the divisional round that year. But again, he was so humble, so generous, always inviting teammates over to just go eat or hang out. He was so passionate about his teammates, and, that's something we definitely miss about him for sure.
Wow. That's so sad. So you made it back to the Super Bowl again this year, and unfortunately you guys didn't win. Mm-hmm. What did you and the team learn from your experience at this year's Super Bowl?
That there's highs and lows to this game all the time. I got to experience the highest of the high of winning the Super Bowl 5 years ago, and then, the lowest of the low of losing a Super Bowl. You get all the way to that point, and then you're like, well, what? I thought we were supposed to win. We had this game, this was it. We were going to be 2-time Super Bowl champions. And, it really, makes you feel like, okay, this game isn't just, obviously it's about wins and losses, but it's how you bounce back. We got knocked down, but are we going to get back up this year and make it back? We have a lot of good players coming back this year, and we're hoping to, get to another Super Bowl. But you never know in this league. You never know what's going to happen. But losing that game, it really, like, just to see everyone's face in the locker room is just so heartbreaking, because these guys worked their tail off. And again, there was only 8 of us who won a Super Bowl before. All those other guys, there's a couple of them who had Super Bowl rings from other teams. But to see all the young guys and the guys who really wanted that, it's so heartbreaking to see. But hopefully it only motivates us to go back next year.
So we will see you and the Eagles at the next year Super Bowl.
Oh, you're darn tootin', we will.
Yeah, I'm excited
I
now.
like that.
I'm excited now.
So, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Oh.
No, I'm just really hoping that we have that motivation because after a loss like that, you want to get back. So.
Yeah. So before the interview, you said the Eagles do a lot of social justice work.
Yes.
Which charity is your favorite?
So we have So what's great about our organization is every year we donate to a social justice fund, which again has multiple nonprofits, whether it's helping people who get out of prison to find jobs, or people who just kids who don't have the education in Philly to go to school or have the opportunity to do sports after school, and kids who just who need food. Every little detail of social justice we've found, from discrimination to anything like that, we donate to this fund every year, and we're very passionate about it because our organization takes it very seriously. We donate to this fund every year, and we get to help kids like that too. Every year we go help build a playground for schools that are in the harsher parts of Philadelphia. We paint their playground, and we build a nice turf field for them, and we do all these different things every single year for those kids who again, they want to just see us too. They just want to be out on the playground with us, and but we get to paint the walls of their school, and we do that again every single year I've been there. We've done that, so it's great to be a part of something that's bigger than sports. Yeah. This is our community. This Philadelphia is, the team or the city that represents us too. So we have to give back to them. So it's great to be able to give all of our time and effort back to them as well.
Yeah, that's like kind of what we do on this podcast. Like, we talk about the different topics and social justice issues going on. So that's why we've had so many people come on and talk about politics, about like actors who've talked about the discrimination that they've faced throughout their careers. Like, it's so cool learning about it. Like,
for sure. Yeah, it really is way bigger than everyone realizes too, because there's so many people out there who need that kind of help. And obviously it's great what you guys are doing, learning about it, because the more you learn about it, the more you know about giving back to these types of, different charities or, just organizations who need that help. So,
Yeah.
What do you believe is the greatest challenge that NFL athletes face today?
it has to be the distractions, again, going back to being considered, I guess, a celebrity, now that social media is so big. When I first got in the NFL, Instagram was just barely out. It was 2015, Instagram came out in 2012, so it wasn't that big then. Obviously Twitter's been a thing for a while, but now you got all these different things. Everyone has your eyes on you at all times, and you can't read comments because comments are way too negative on Twitter and on ESPN, Instagram, or any social media outlet, especially when you're trying to make it to the Super Bowl. There's always going to be doubters, like we had to really lock in and make sure that we focused on what our main task was, and that was winning. They don't know what's going on in the locker room. They try to talk about what's going on in the locker room. They think they know what's going on in the locker room, but they don't. So it's really the distractions of not just that, but, there's a lot of other distractions that people have in their lives. Staying focused on your job, and not that it's a bad thing, but people who have kids at home, and, there's people who want to go on vacations whenever we have time off, because it is a long, long grind from July to February. and you're there almost 7 days a week, it's tough. So you have to really focus in on what's the most important to you, and is being a professional athlete and taking advantage of the short period of time we have in our lives to be a professional athlete. Is that the most important thing to you? So you really have to just, again, watch out for your distractions. And same thing with in high school and college too. It's distractions will always come up, but it's a matter of what you will do and what's your main purpose to focus on.
Yeah. And how do you deal with it?
I deal with it just by, one, I put a lot on my wife to just take all the phone calls and do all that other stuff for me. But seriously, I have to just stay locked in on what I'm doing one day at a time. And that's how you have to take life, is one single day at a time. I make sure I have, a schedule set up every single day to keep me on track of what I want to do, even in the off season now. Like, off season is the time where a lot of guys get in trouble, whether it's, they're out drinking with friends, and that's not good. You don't want to, they always say if you're out past 11 or 12 o'clock, nothing good happens, So I have to stay focused on what I'm doing at this time, because again, I know this is such a short period of time in my life that I can be this professional athlete. I'm going to have a career after I'm done playing, so I just really want to focus on the time that I have as being a professional athlete and taking advantage of it, because I want to be the best that I can be. And everyone should have that mindset of, you don't want to have that doubt in yourself saying, hey, I can't be the best. I can't be the best podcaster, or I can't be all that. You absolutely can, and it takes a lot of work and a lot of effort, but I want to be the best long snapper I can be for as long as I can be. So that's my biggest goal, and that's what keeps motivating me every day to stay not distracted. So
Wow. So what advice would you give us to us, like high schoolers?
Yeah, so for you guys, it's, again, one day at a time. So if you guys can set up a schedule for yourself, say, just go in your notes or in your reminder saying, okay, I need to get this done today. And then start with that. Start with the main goal of the day, that I'm going to get this done. And then you keep working on little goals throughout the day. Say you want to, hey, I want to go for a walk today. Start your day with a walk. Or, I want to get my homework done tonight, right after school, so I have all night to relax, whatever it is. Those little things will really help you just get throughout your day and finish being, happy, so you have time to do whatever it is you want to do, like scroll on TikTok for a few hours like I do. But yeah, it's seriously, it's just things, wanting to get things done each time of the day, or in set times of the day, and focusing on that main goal of that day. Whether you got to put time off for your dreams and your goals, and you have to also put time off for school and your homework and studying for tests. All those different things, you got to make time for everything. And time management is so important from today through college, throughout your whole life. You're going to realize it very quickly, because high school, college does not last forever. I thought I was in college yesterday. I am 30 years old now. So it truly does go by fast. So truly appreciate every second you have here.
Yeah, speaking about the goals, it's just helping you making a better version of yourself.
Exactly. You want to be able to look back on your life and say, hey, I look what I accomplished. I did all these things because I stayed true to myself and I stayed focused. So that's the biggest thing you can focus on.
That's great. So, Mr. Lovato, we just want to thank you again for dining with us here at Social with the Side of Justice. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, and here's your...
All right, there we go.
Hey,
my guest
signature.